Good afternoon.
Ooh.
Excuse me. It's end of the year for us people. My kids are almost done with high school, and soon everybody will be home all day and annoying the crap out of me.
Yep.
And I'll be wishing I still had my remote off or my office outside the building. I love my home office 99% of the time. And there's that 1% where it's like, man, I just need to get out of here.
Yep. Yeah, I don't. It
So
definitely outweighs the negatives, but there are a few challenges every once in a while.
yeah. So, anyways, like today we're talking about something that kind of segues into it. We did a workshop earlier this week for certified QBRs,
Hmm.
and one of the major topics of that was contextualizing your conversations with your clients. And what we mean by that is like, don't sell a firewall, sell faster internet,
Yep.
or sell the ability to work from home. Do something like that, and it's because context matters. People will buy faster internet. They won't buy a new firewall.
Well, even faster internet sounds great, but you can easily go deeper. It's process credit card transactions quicker. You
Yeah.
know, that's a real incentive for a business person. If they've got problems where someone's up trying to pay, and someone's there going, oh, hang on, it takes a minute sometimes. Eliminate those problems if you can, because now you've just sped up their sales process.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to get money faster, right? So how could that be a bad thing? And really drilling down on that is where you get your client's attention.
Yeah, one of my favorite stories I tell people is I was used to work for a large corporation, and we'd been bugging them about upgrading their pipe for a while and getting dual and getting BGP going. There's all these things that we needed to do, and we had very good reasons for them. But what fast tracked our egress point, our DMARC upgrades, was when the administration started streaming the Masters tournament.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
that year, the Masters tournament was in HD.
Mm-hmm.
And so the internet was so slow, and we could not figure out what was hogging all the bandwidth. And it turned out so many people were were streaming the Masters tournament that's what was crushing everything. And we explained to them like, hey, look, we can fix this. We just need to upgrade our internet pipe.
Mm-hmm.
Our hardware is already good. We just need to. It's just going to cost us $10,000 a month or whatever the bill was.
Yeah.
Because we already had the project in place. That thing was on within the hour.
Yep.
That PO was
Absolutely.
approved within the hour.
Absolutely. Yep.
All that project planning, all these like months and months and months of work,
Yep.
came down to I can't watch Masters tournament.
No.
Oh, you're telling me all I do is approve that PO and we can buy this and then everybody's fine? Sure.
Right.
And you are the same way with your MSP. Like, you're sitting there and you're pitching all these things. It'll help them in a multitude of ways. But there's going to be one thing that really makes a difference in that one person's life. And it might be more credit card transactions going through, or it
Mm-hmm.
might be their ability to live stream their kids' play while at work. You don't know what it is, but when the project becomes about that thing, about that solution, about that one item they care about, suddenly things get approved.
Yeah. Well, and
And
this goes back to the value of your service. And I continue to hear this regularly from our members and people that we're working with. The challenge of showing your customers the value of that recurring expense. Every month they're paying that invoice. And and sometimes they feel like they struggle to see the value of that invoice. And so we try to show all the work that you're doing. And I've worked on your side of the fence. I know the mountain of work that goes into taking care of these clients sometimes. But so much of what we do is, to be honest, it's just not valuable to the clients, and not directly. And so what we need to connect the dots is to show them what our work does for them. And when you're able to identify these elements that really help their business out, now they understand that's the value that you bring to the organization. You made it faster, so they streamed the Masters Commission tournament, right? Or you process more credit cards. Those are business values that carry a lot more weight with a business owner than the reliability of, patches getting pushed out on a regular basis, right? It's just putting it in terms that operate within their business environment is what's going to elevate what you do, what your clients see, and the value that they see out of you. It can't be a technical value. They're not technical people. It has to be a business value. Then it takes off.
So listening to people talk a lot, like in MSPs, you guys are often like, I don't have enough time, or I'm too busy. What if I told you for $10,000, I can free up your schedule and you'll get twice as much work done? Would you buy that? If I could guarantee you for $10,000, you're going to double your work and you're going to get out of firefighting mode. And you'd be like, sign me up.
Yeah.
Right? What's the catch here, Adam?
What's the catch? Yeah.
Like, cool. Take an hour off a day. Now, if I came in and just said, take an hour off a day, you'd be like, I can't do that. I'm too busy. Like, well, this is going to help free up your schedule, blah, 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 blah. But when I open with, if you take an hour off a day, we're like 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock, I cannot schedule anything, not lunch, not work, not anything. 1 to 2 p.m. is going to be an open slot. And I can guarantee you it's going to get you out of firefighting mode. I'm not going to tell you what to do with that hour. I'm not going to tell you anything. I'm just saying, take that hour and do not schedule anything.
Yep.
And now you owe me $10,000. Now, the point there is that it doesn't matter what the solution is. It matters on what it's going to do for the client. Whether I'm selling a piece of hardware, I am selling a service, I'm selling a product, does not matter. What matters is your ability to deliver something that your client needs. You want more time in your day. You want to be more productive. My solution could have been buy our product. My solution could have been follow lean methodologies. It didn't matter. Right. But I started with, what do you want? And how can I give that to you? Now, I didn't start with the solution. I started with, what's the problem you want to solve?
There's a really interesting point here. I'm willing to bet that as Adam started talking about that, $10,000, okay. But when he started drilling into schedule 1 hour a day, all right, I bet many of you really started kind of zeroing in here. Where's he going? What's he going to do here? Your attention was beginning to focus on freeing up time, being more productive. All of a sudden, you're like, what's he going on here? Is this just an example? Has he got, some magic sauce he's about to open up? What? But the whole purpose of that was you begin to focus, you begin to get interested, you were tracking, you were understanding what's going on. And when you do these things with your clients, they do the exact same thing. If you're tired of staring into glassy-eyed customers because they've checked out on all the technology explanations you're trying to unload on them, quit and zero in on what's valuable. And all of a sudden you'll start to see that clarity, that leaning forward a little bit going, tell me more. Now you're moving down the right track. It's all about focusing on what's important.
Yeah. And when you put context in, then people listen. It has to be relevant to them. Just like what Skip said, like, you're glassy eyed because this is not relevant. You might as well be talking about dog food. Yes, I'm sure this is important to you guys, and I'm here to listen because I'm a responsible person and I know this needs to be heard. What's my action item? Buy stuff. Now, change the conversation. Hey, tell me about your business and the problems you're facing today, as well as what's being really successful in your business. Now they can't shut up. Now they're interested. Now they're engaged. And then you can be like, you know what? I think we can make that better. And so, just to kind of like add context here, let me share my screen over here. And the idea is, I want you to take hey,
Okay.
look, you got all these projects here that you're doing, and he has our account. So here's a recommendation: application support. You know what?
Yes.
Right? Okay, learn how to use Office 365. Okay, that's something that they're going to know how to
Yes.
do at the end of this project. Asset replacement project. We need to get rid of all these laptops. Make employees more efficient.
Yeah.
Right? You got these old laptops that are running on old OSs. You know, like not just more efficient, but I would put something on to like allow them to close more deals or something like
Mhm.
whatever. These laptops are going to allow them to log on faster, be more portable, have better battery life. They don't have to be sitting next to a wall, and they can do different things. So you go down this list and you name these things that they care about. And then the second thing you do is you go down to a deliverable and make sure the deliverable isn't focused on, hey, we're going to install a new FortiGate 200E. No, instead, what's the deliverable? What does the end user get out of this? What is their experience and how is it going to change? And when you put that in as a deliverable, you can say, hey, look, which one's this one? Learn how to use Office 365. Be able to apply AI methodologies that save time. For contract management.
Yep.
And specifically call it the kind of contracts they do for hardware. Right? You're gonna say something like that. So now if I use AI built into Office 365, I will be able to build these faster because it's going to start contextualizing them for me. And then I'm going to be able to deliver these service level agreements or whatever to my clients faster. It doesn't
Mhm.
take me 3 hours to build a agreement anymore. It now takes me 20 minutes or 15 minutes where I just feed it what I need to know. Please create this same document for this client.
Yeah.
And it's done. But the whole point is here, you're giving them context of what's going on here. We're not doing we're not selling a service anymore. We're selling a solution to a problem that the client has. And then when they're ready to do this, like, how to apply AI in Office 365, whatever it is, whatever's going to pick their brain. Just like when I said, what if I could double your productivity
Mhm.
and get you out of firefighting mode? That's a solution you want. It
Well,
doesn't.
Adam, let me give another example right here. And this is a really practical one that there's many of you right now who can start capitalizing on this, right? So you go from Texas heading east, right, all along the Gulf and up a little bit along the Atlantic coast. You know what June is, right? June's the beginning of hurricane season, right? So in your conversations with those, you start with, how are you guys preparing for the upcoming hurricane season? What problems did you have last year, right? What problems did you have year before? Everybody's got, if you're in that whole area, everybody's had, some big name storm that came through and caused all sorts of problems with either, themselves personally, their businesses, or somebody they knew. So they realize that there's issues coming up. They're thinking about those, all right? And you start to go down some of the elements, all right? Are you guys okay? What do you think would happen to your business if the power goes out? Simple fix for that. What about if you can't get into the office for a few days? All right. Now we got remote work set up. What about if you really are flooded? All right. Now we've lost infrastructure. Now we got backup projects that all kick off. And every one of the focus and the topics of those, just right there, those 3 technology projects is all about managing a hurricane. All right. And that is what your clients are interested in. They want to protect their business, right? They don't want some storm to come in and wipe them out. So as we go and develop these projects and work them out, we're always going to keep this in mind. And there's just tons of work to do there. So it's good for you because that's revenue. That's good billable time because we've got it in the right context. Now I hit on this all the time, and I'm really big on this. When you're focusing on business problems, the margin is better than technology problems. So you've got lots of work at good margin. And when you do that, your client sees you as a partner, as a high delivering value partner in their business. There's really no downside to all of those. You've just got to get out there and get the right focus. So, for, I don't know how many of our partners out there or MSPs that are listening to this, that's a huge opportunity. Manage the upcoming hurricane season.
Yeah. I we're nervous here in the Midwest. So an interesting thing that you guys may not know about is that in tornado season here in the Midwest, we are used to the fingers of God coming down and smiting us. But they're starting to become more prevalent. Per storm, number of tornadoes has gone up in the Midwest over the past decade or so. So now what used to be a active tornado season is now a normal tornado season.
Wow.
And so we have to be extra diligent about off-site backups. And that's just something that in the Midwest, it's a no-brainer. If you're an MSP in the Midwest and you're not doing off-site backups, you're a moron. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like here, it's a matter of like, do we have a cold site, a hot site, or an off-site?
Yeah.
What do you have? Because the finger of God is a very distinct problem here, and it's getting worse. And so we try to talk to our clients about, hey, tornadoes are getting more prevalent. Like, we have a great disaster recovery plan where we can have you up and running. Looks like you've got, we need to identify who your critical personnel are so we can have them up and running and what time. So now you can have this conversation about like tornado proof your business. We're not talking about BCP here. They know what it is, or they may not know. They may not be a mature business, but they've never had to think about BCP, business continuity. They never had to think about disaster recovery. And maybe you've only ever talked to them about disaster recovery in context of like a virus or malware outage.
Yep.
In this case, you go and you ask one simple question, just like Skip was saying. It's hurricane season. How long can you be down? And they say, oh, you know what? We could be down for a week and it'd be fine. I mean, it would be annoying, but everybody did enjoy the vacation while we got back out. Okay, cool. It's going to take me 3 weeks to rebuild your office if it floods.
Yep.
However, we can get ahead of this. We can get that downtime to a week. Basically, you're going to put a lease with one of these coast managed sites where you get an area that you can work out of. We'll build all your PCs for you and deliver them there within a week. And like you can work this out, but you dealt with things that they care about. So hurricane season is relevant right now. Tornado season is relevant right now. In 6 months, they're not going to really be thinking about tornadoes or hurricanes because it's now in 6 months. What are we? We're now in November. They're thinking about Christmas. They're thinking about vacations. They're thinking about downtime. They're not thinking about what's going to happen next hurricane season, unless they got hit or one of their friends got hit.
Yeah, no, that's.
So what you want to do is have these projects ready. But then in 6 months, when you're talking to them and you see that prevent hurricanes or reduce downtime from hurricanes or tornadoes, then when it comes to budget season in 6 months, you're like, hey, remember that project we designed out where we could have you back up in 6 months? Look, it's only going to be $15,000 to get that in place. Do you want to put that in the budget for next year? It's already been designed out. Is it something they care about? They had one of their friends lost their business or was down for 3 weeks, and it caused $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 of revenue loss because they weren't up and running.
Yep.
Cool. Let's talk that through. Let's implement that now. Now they're afraid about it. Now they've got the fear and they want to implement that. But that's why you put the projects on the roadmap and you name them contextual things. So that they know what service is going to change or what delivery is going to change if this project gets done. The nuts and the bolts of the project don't matter. What matters is their business going to benefit from this in some tangible way?
That's it. Yeah, so hurricane season is right now, right? And so this would be a last minute project. Ideally, this is something that we would discuss earlier, but sometimes the environment that you're in will drive that. And so people are starting to ramp up. They're starting to think about that. You may have clients that look at that and go, we haven't really had a problem. I don't really think that's anything we need to look at. Cool. you can
Yeah.
leave that on the project roadmap. All right. And you can kind of float this along. And as hurricane season progresses, all right, there are going to be events. They're going to look at that. They're going to see the news. And even if nothing happens, to them or anybody nearby them, there's a lot of context. And as that season comes off, there's another opportunity to sit down and go, we kind of dodged it this year. What do you think about putting this in the budget for next year? And you still have a lot of that context to go, that was right. I heard, some new stuff, and I was looking at the storm, and there at the last minute, it took a ride. I felt really, relieved. And I was thinking about your project while I was hoping that storm would turn, and now you can move that forward. So it's not always just go and pull the lever and it happens. All right. But sometimes we set the stage, and doing it in the right way will allow it to close. We just,
You remember me all the times in the past when like I've been in an engineering job and we all look around the table, okay, we need to do this now. And then like Bob or Susan over there goes, I actually wrote a proposal for this 5 years ago. And like, go get it, dust it off, and let's update it. And like, this is a common thing, like to the point where while Skip was talking, a visual of me going, I actually wrote out the structure cabling project like 4 years ago, and we never adopted it. Let me go get it. I'll save you 60 hours of work right now. And so these things happen, like, oh, we actually had a plan to do an offsite failover. We never implemented it because we got busy with the data center migration. Or pick your reason. But I have this project over there. That's why we have this project list here, people. And it's soon to be synced with your PSA, by the way.
There we go.
100% live. And as you add notes in, as you keep crafting out this project, and then that one day, your friend Susan, who runs this flower shop downtown in Houston, they hear about their friend who had a flower shop in New Orleans. It got completely wiped out. And it wasn't that they couldn't order more flowers. It's the fact that they had nowhere to put the flowers, or they had nowhere to stage things. They had nowhere to set up the kiosk for taking payments. And they're like, oh, I need to figure that one out. Because that was a huge hit to their business. And oh yeah, I remember talking to Skip about that last year. Didn't he talk to me about that he could do a failover, or there's some hot sites available, or some way for me to stay up and running? I guess yes, there was. Let's talk about that. And then you dust it off, and you have worked 30 other projects since then. So you've forgotten everything, but here's all your notes.
And this applies to so many of them. I've seen this happen so many times, and we'll go through it. Maybe it's hurricanes, maybe it's just upgrading software, all sorts of those items. Once you have those conversations with your clients, many times they look at that and go, I don't know. All right. Maybe we don't have the business goals lined out. They can't make a decision. So many times I've done this with our project roadmap. I go, okay. And I take that and I push that out. And we've got a little box out there. It's just called time box, or I know, placeholder. Right. And I don't even put a value in there. I just push that out a year and go, all right, we'll talk about this later. And I can't tell you how many times they came back and went, you mentioned that. And I know we've got it on the calendar to discuss in a year, but I think we need to bring that up. And so we're rolling these things up 6-8 months before they were on the little placeholder, just because we'd started that conversation. We provided the visibility. We opened up the business context of what this would do. Now they're thinking about it. Now they're working and they're doing these things. They're hearing their staff go, man, it takes us forever to do this. And they go, wait, I just heard our tech guys went here and they said they could make that so it wouldn't take so long, right? And now you're providing the business context that moves us forward.
Yes. And that is the trick that you guys are all missing. You're so busy creating PowerPoint slides because some vendor told you to. You're so busy talking about warranties because some vendor told you to, that you've stopped listening to the clients, and therefore you're just out of context the whole time. I know what my client wants. They just need to listen to me. I'm telling them what they need. No, you're talking at your clients, and that's not a healthy relationship. If you would listen to them for 2 seconds, you would realize that they want you to prioritize different things because they actually have important stuff going on. So you have to listen more than you talk, which is hard for me. I get it. But you also have to make sure you take those notes in the projects and think, it may not be today, but I've got this project ready to go. It's understandable. The client understands that if they do this, it'll improve this area of their business. They just don't have time, money, or resources to do it, whatever it is. But it's there. And then you can move on with your life. They can move on with theirs. And then when it becomes relevant, you can say, hey, remember when we designed that out? Let's do it now.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all in. And you need to have enough of these going on that there's always something that they're like, oh my gosh, I really want to be able to work from home. Oh my gosh, I really want to be able to live stream my kids play.
Mm-hmm.
Keep going down the list. And eventually you'll start seeing them hit often. Keep going, and they'll keep going, and they'll keep going, and there'll always be something coming up. And that's when your revenue stream keeps coming up.
Sure.
So build out that project roadmap. Build out what you need to do with them, and put it in context that they understand, and they'll keep asking you for that stuff.
Yep.
Any final thoughts, Skip?
No, that's it. I mean, just stick with it. There's some quick wins, and there's some wins that you get a little bit later. But either way, you need to start the business conversation.
This is not hard. Is the cool thing here? It's not hard.
No.
You don't need anything other than the ability to listen to your client and take good notes.
Yep.
All right. Thank you, everyone, and we'll see you next week.
See you.